Hey fam, welcome back. Hopefully you guys are doing good and having a great day. If you're not, please let me know what I can do to help you. Until then, I've got a video from Guns and Gadgets. I saw a little bit of this video earlier this morning. Had to sit down and make a video about it, so let's get into it.
We guys and gals, we knew this would be an issue. We knew that red flag laws were terrible, and we knew they would be bastardized to be worse. And the state just did it.
For those of you who don't know, a few years ago, there was a grandfather that was arrested. His guns were taken before trial. His Fifth Amendment rights were violated. His Fourth Amendment right was violated, all because of a vindictive granddaughter. So not only that, but you also had Trump that was calling for red flag laws as well. He was also talking about violating people's Fifth Amendment right by taking away people's guns before trial, and I'll show you that here.
Yes, go ahead, Mike.
Well, in the category, you've spoken about it, Mr. President, gun violence restraining orders, they're called. California actually has a version of this, and I think you, in your meeting with governors earlier this week, individually and as a group, we spoke about states taking steps, but the focus is to literally give families and give local law enforcement additional tools if an individual is reported to be a potential danger to themselves or others. Allow due process, so no one's rights are trampled, but the ability to go to court, obtain an order, and then collect not only the firearms, but any weapons in the possession
Or
of that
Mike,
individual.
take the firearms first and then go to court, because that's another system, because a lot of times by the time you go to court, it takes so long to go to court to get the due process procedures. I like taking the guns early, like in this crazy man's case that just took place in Florida.
He likes taking the guns first. So what he's saying is that he's going to completely disregard the Fifth Amendment. Okay? Everyone deserves the right to due process. Everyone. I don't care, and this is a hot take, I don't care if you just committed a mass, whatever. I don't care. You still have the right of due process. Okay? And for that to happen on the basis of just speculation, just to take people's guns because he might be a danger. Key word, might. It's dangerous territory.
To an extent that literally the founding fathers right now are rolling over in their grave, demanding that we save this country.
It's right here in the Declaration of Independence. This is exactly why our founding fathers fought the war that they did. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive to these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it and institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its power in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. There it is right there. There it is right there. Key word, alter or abolish. Okay. Alter or abolish. Now, I think altering is the best way to go. And how we do that is we start running for office ourselves and we start changing policies. Okay. We start changing policies, laws to stop this, to stop these mandates. Okay. We don't want to abolish our government. We don't want to do that, right? Because that always leads to bad outcomes, of course. But we do want to alter it. We do want to take these offices, these positions, away from these traitors who would much rather satisfy special interests instead of interests of the American people.
What's up, everybody? It's Jared from Guns and Gadgets, your go-to for Second Amendment news, advocacy, and staying one step ahead of what lawmakers are up to. If you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so that you don't miss any of our updates. I do videos every day, sometimes multiple times a day. So check back often, physically check back, because YouTube's not going to tell you when I put out all this stuff because they don't like the truth. And today we're diving into a major story out of New York. Yes, the state where gun owners already face some of the toughest laws in the nation. And now the worst governor ever in the history of the United States of America. I know a lot of people are like, wait, my governor's worse. But Kathy Hochul and the New York State Legislature have just passed a law and she signed it that mandates firearm confiscation when police respond to domestic violence calls. This is serious. Let me say that again. Like, this is serious. If you don't understand the gravity of this, literally, this makes a red flag extremely accessible. Follow me. It's a change that can impact gun rights, due process, and every law-abiding gun owner out there. We're going to break it down here. We're going to look at what the law actually says and what it means for gun owners, the constitutional questions, and there are many, and most importantly, what you should do right now. Well, let's get into it. So here's the deal. New York just passed new legislation that requires law enforcement, requires cops to temporarily seize firearms from an individual when they respond to a domestic violence or a family violence call. It's not just optional. There is no discretion. It's mandated seizure under these calls for service. I will say that.
So they can come to your door over a call, and it could be anyone in your family that does not like you, anyone in your immediate family that does not like you, anyone that is spiteful enough to claim that you are a danger to yourself or others. And the cops must take your firearms. That is going to lead to a very, very bad situation. How many times do they tell us, oh, no, we're not going to go door to door. We're not going to take your firearms, your AR-15s, your AK-47s. We're not going to take your weapons of war. That's what they said. But here they are, trying to sneak in some bullshit to do exactly that. We told you this was going to happen. We told you this was going to happen. And now they're going to do whatever means that they can to take people's guns. They're putting people in prison over things that aren't even a firearm. If you don't pay your tax stamp for a suppressor that's not even a firearm, guess what? You get arrested. If you make the barrel length on your rifle 1 inch shorter, you could get arrested. Absolutely insane. We are living under tyranny.
This now, having responded to thousands of domestic violence calls in my career, not all of them are legit. And it's extremely easy to find yourself being called the aggressor in a domestic violence incident. That's right. Sometimes they are used as weapons. Most of them are completely legitimate, and the victims are actually calling for help because they have no one else to turn to. But not all of them are legit. I'll just leave it at that. Now, this new law requires cops to take.
That's true, but the thing is that this gives way for the abuse of that. And that's always what the government looks to do, is abuse some of these policies, these laws that they create. It's for their benefit. The government is always seeking to become bigger, while at the same time making the people smaller. It's been that way for decades now.
Take your guns. Period. Specifically, if a victim expresses fear or the officers believe a weapon must be removed to prevent harm, then guns must be taken into custody. Do you understand how bad that is? Like, if you're not somebody who follows civics and really doesn't know what the Constitution says, you need to take 5-10 minutes out of your life, stop doom scrolling, and read the Constitution. It doesn't take that long. This is really bad. Now, the time frame for return of those firearms has been extended. Under New York's previous version of their red flag laws, the cops had maybe 2 days. Now, the minimum is 5 days before returning, if there are no legal hurdles to this. But that's a minimum. That doesn't say anything about a maximum.
Of course, there never is a maximum. There's a reason for that. So again, they can abuse it, right? Instead of the May issue, right, which is something that they were abusing the shit out of, because in California, they were having people go through a number of hoops just to get a concealed carry permit until that was changed to shall issue, which I do believe that is the case. We are slowly turning into a communist country. Mm. Mm.
That's a danger. And the law covers a broad range of weapons: any firearm, rifle, shotgun, electric dart, stun gun, disguised gun, imitation gun, and antique firearms under certain rules. Now, in short, New York is shifting from you may seize in certain circumstances, discretion,
You shall.
to you must seize when conditions are met. And that is a big leap. One of the key factors in law enforcement.
But that is so ambiguous. But the law says as if the cop believes that firearms should be taken, then they would have to take them. That's so ambiguous. There's no set guidelines for a reason. There's no set guidelines as to what constitutes conditions being met for the firearms to be taken.
Is discretion, right? It's when a cop pulls you over and you get a warning, right? That's discretion, meaning
Yeah.
it's not like Nazi Germany where the cops have to do what the bosses say.
Mm-hmm.
There are only a few circumstances in which you shall arrest, right?
There is reasonable belief, reasonable being the key word. There is probable cause, and there's also officer's discretion, as Jared had said here. So officer's discretion, that can be abused. Loophole. The government is all about loopholes.
So let's put that aside. Think about that. Keep that in your mind. And let's talk about the context here. Why is New York doing this? And why are they doing it now? Well, the stated goal is to reduce firearm-involved domestic homicides. But between 2018 and 2022, in New York specifically, most cases of domestic violence in homicides involved knives or cutting instruments, while firearms were used in about 34% of cases. So, take the guns, don't worry about cutting instruments. Now, proponents argue
because guns are more dangerous. They know that. It's always been about the guns. They can worry about the knives later. So they're going to do whatever they can to condition people to relinquish their Second Amendment, actively cheer on, right, through Moms Demand Action and Every Town Against Gun Violence, movements like those, to give up their Second Amendment rights, and through the loopholes in these laws to confiscate people's guns.
That immediate removal of weapons when there is a credible threat is a common sense measure, a common sense safety measure to be specific. It's actually a violation of your Fourth Amendment rights to be secure against unreasonable searches and seizures and the warrant requirement. So let me be clear here. For gun owners, activists, and Second Amendment advocates, this should raise huge red flags. No pun intended. Why? Because this kind of mandatory seizure also touches on the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment, the Second Amendment's right to keep and bear arms, and the slippery slope of what constitutes a threat or fear. Now remember, you do not have a right to be free from fear. Let me say that again for the people in the back. You do not have a constitutional right to be free from fear. You do not have a constitutional right to be safe. And the government can't keep you safe. But you do have the right to ensure your own safety. You have the right to keep yourself safe. So
it was Franklin that said if you give up essential liberty to purchase temporary security, you deserve neither. So never give up your liberties. Because as soon as you do, for whatever reason, especially for feeling safe, You will always have both taken away from you.
Why are we trying to throw that right away? Why are we trying to let government take that from us? Also remember, in 2022, the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruin decision by the United States Supreme Court reaffirmed that the Second Amendment protects an individual right to carry arms outside the home. So we're operating in a legal environment where carry rights are being affirmed. They always say that gun rights are being expanded. No. They're being reaffirmed. They were there already. Yet states are also passing new controls, new workarounds. And that tension is growing. It's very real, and it's very, very dangerous to the future of the Republic.
And that is where I'm going to leave that. It's a really great place to leave things off on because, look, we live in a republic. We don't live in a democracy. Our republic adheres to the Constitution, and any law that is repugnant to the Constitution is null and void. I'll be sure to link the full video in the description below. If you need me for anything, please reach out. Remember to take care of yourselves, both mind and body. Take care of each other. I love you all. Wish you a lovely day. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye, guys.